Okay, so I guess we can start the webinar. Anyone can confirm if my voice is audible to you all?
Yes, Nandini. Yeah, it is.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so hello everyone and welcome to our webinar on token exposed red team intrusion on GitLab Runner. I'm Nandini Bharadwaj, the operating officer at CyberWarfare Labs, and I'm really excited to have you all with us today. So let's get started. Okay, so before we jump on the main topic, let me give a brief about our company. So, CyberWarfare Labs is a UK-based edtech company. The company is committed to addressing cybersecurity challenges with real-time hands-on solution. Our virtual platform allow user to refine their skills through plug and play practical labs and a diverse range of certification courses. So, the company has two main divisions. The first is CyberRange Lab. So this division focuses on providing practical real-time solution to cybersecurity challenges. So basically it offers a virtual platform where user can engage in hands-on trainings through practical theme labs that are ready to use. And the second one is upskilling platform. So our platform offers a wide range of on-demand courses designed for individual at all skills level from beginner to intermediate to advanced. And we also provide this services to both offline and offline trainings, online trainings option. So for more information you can drop an email to our support team, that is support@cyberwarfare.live. Okay, so let's move on. So our speaker of today's webinar is Mr. Yash Bharadwaj. He is the co-founder and technical director at CW Labs UK Private Limited. With over 6.5 years of experience as a technologist, Yash is highly focused on discovering new offensive engagement tactics, techniques, and procedure. His expertise include designing, building, and teaching red and blue team simulations. Yash has delivered hands-on trainings at prestigious events such as NELCON, ZeefCon, NordSec, besides chapters, CISO platform, YesCon, and many more. So you can connect him on Twitter. His username is @flopyash. So dear participants, as promised, we are excited to share that you will receive your attendance certificate within next 48 hours along with the video recording of this webinar and the material. But wait, there's more. The five lucky winners will have an opportunity to win the access of any Red Team course of their choice. The winners will be announced shortly after the webinar, so stay tuned for that. And additionally, all attendees at the end of the webinar will receive a special coupon code that will allow them to enjoy the exclusive 10% on our exclusive CRTS V2 course. So that's all, and thank you for being part of this engaging session. We look forward for your continued participation. So without further ado, I would like Yash to take over and let's get started. So it's over to you, Yash.
Yeah, thanks, Nandini. Just a second. Okay. So, yeah, first of all, thanks, Nandini, for the warm introduction and for introducing, us, like what we do, and the interesting webinar for today, that is the GitLab tokens. Like if it is exposed, what we can do as a red teamer or as a pen tester. So, without any further delay, I would like to start this thing quickly. And the like in this whole webinar, you will be understanding about the tokens, about the GitLab personal access token, what are the type of tokens, and what level of access they possess, As well as moving forward, we will also be dealing with very interesting red team scenario where leaked personal access token leads to the initial access, and how one can actually get internal access to the environment and like breach it. So there's a very interesting case study that we will be covering in the end. And also at the very end, we will be providing 10% coupon code of our CRTS V2 Red Team course. So wait for this interesting coupon code that you will find. And yeah, so let's quickly get started. So let's start with the tokens. What are these, and how they are managed in the organization, and what are the things that is present in there. So tokens provide managed access to software as a service applications like GitLab, GitHub, etc. Now, organization basically uses these platforms like GitLab or GitHub for for their CI/CD pipelines, or for storing their codes in a kind of a repository which is private to them. And developers operating under these circumstances might leak these kind of tokens. So, what are kind of tokens? It can initially be thought as a kind of credential, which can be short-lived or which can be long-lived, right? So it depends on the creator who is creating it, as well as what is the uh, things attached to these tokens. So the tokens can be of multiple things. The major application of these tokens are in the applications, like when the application used to connect to any of the servers, or let's say any of the other technologies. So instead of hard coding the token, developers generally use these functionality to provide limited or fine grained access to these scenarios. So these are the stuff. Now, leak token can be found in various scenarios like source code repository. So, let's say if we're doing red team assessment or pen testing in organization, and if we are just enumerating whatever open source things are present, right? So there can be very like many ways where we can find these kind of tokens leaked in the repositories itself, like in the environment files or in the YML files. Might be some of them providing master token access, right? So all the tokens have some of the privileges attached to them. So we may also find the tokens while assessment in the version control system logs. So there are high chances that during push, if let's say some of the debugger file gets attached to the things, and if it is pushed to these SaaS platforms like GitLab or GitHub, so this will be visible to the public, and then anyone can see whatever is present inside this. We can also find these things in the system configuration file. Might be the developers testing or doing the testing, or in the UAT environment somewhere, if they find these things embedded in the configuration file. If it is pushed, let's say, to the repository, so that might cause a havoc. Then development environments and various collaboration tools like Slack, Trello, etc. So there are various case studies. If you look at the previous attempts, or the breach that has come out in the market of very big organization, you might find that their collaboration platform like Slack, etc., were compromised via phishing. And there they used to have a discussion. Let's say they impersonated the employees of the organization. They got the privilege access token, they got the credentials, bypassed the multi-factor authentication, and got the higher level access in the domain environment. So these are some of the places where the red team or pen testers might find these tokens leaked in these places. Now, how to find them? So there are very high chances of leak in the organization GitHub, GitLab repositories, because many organizations use these platform for their own management, for these kind of things, and it's a SaaS platform, right? So GitHub is a SaaS platform. GitLab is also a SaaS platform, but the addition can be deployed locally in the on-premise as well. So these are the things. Now, the companies managing these high level of or critical softwares in a in a very useful way, they have to be very careful while providing these things out in the environment, right, out in the cyberspace. So there is a very interesting open source tool that is Trufflehog. It can be used to search various platforms. So it supports Git, it supports GitLab, GitHub, Google Cloud Storage, Travis, AWS S3, Docker, Azure repositories, etc. So what this Trufflehog is doing is that it search for or it pillages the open source repositories for any of the credentials it might find in the in the whole set of files or in anything hidden inside this. So there's a particular format through which it can be found. So while performing a black box pen testing or very long term red team engagement where we need to identify like what information is exposed in the public, these tools are very helpful to analyze like what all things are present in the internet, or and what we can profile or what we can leverage on for onto the next steps. So this particular tool works very best with the macOS, Docker, and Linux. So it has a capability to search on these particular platforms that is visible here, and there are very high chances that we might find something interesting if proper things are not checked in there. So Trufflehog has a capability to validate the credentials tokens in the case if identified in the repositories, right? So there are chances that let's say if you find any of the credentials leaked in the repositories, then Trufflehog has a capability that it can validate the credentials for you if you set it up in such way. So this is the command reference if you guys want to try out, let's say, against any organization, or let's say in your own organization where you want to just identify whatever things are exposed, right, in their own GitHub repositories or in any other, let's say, storage services that are offered by these companies. So you can use this very interesting tool, Trufflehog. There is a very good capability and cross-platform functionality that has been developed along with this. So we just need to follow these steps that is present here. That is first we download this particular tool. So let me run this in my attacker machine. So this is one of my attacker machine which has access to the internet, and I will be demoing a very interesting scenario here. So first of all, I will be downloading this particular file, that is the gunzip file. So it is present here. I will be extracting these gz file, and here you can find that Trufflehog is present here, right? So first we provide the executable permission to this. It's only Trufflehog, and now we try to run this particular tool, right? So here you can see that it's very easy to just download it and then let it running on this particular CLI. And here you can see what you want to do: scan a source using wizard, view help documentation, view open source projects, inquiring about Trufflehog enterprise. So it's open source, and it has a lot of functionality. So as of now we have prepared a demonstration for you that we have leaked the credentials in our own repository, that is in our GitHub. And this particular tool will try to search or pillage this particular repository in the GitHub, which is hosted in this platform. We need to pass the organization as whatever we are targeting here, let it be your target organization or anything else. So here it's atomic dash nuclear. The repository goes something like this. So let's execute this, and it will then scan the repositories and find out something if it is interesting to us. Might be some sort of credentials, or let's say some sort of any of the configuration files or any other things. And here you can see that it has found out a lot of things, like some of the private keys are present here which are intentionally leaked because of this demonstration. And then you will also find some of the Google Cloud repository, sorry, these keys, right? The access tokens that are present here, these are the JSON files, and some of the private keys are also present here. So there are very high chances that if we find anything, something like this, it can be of huge advantage to the pen testers, to the red teams, because through this they can have the very great initial access into the organization environment, right? So here in this demonstration, you can see that we have found out various service keys, service account keys, the JSON files, right? Private keys, etc. So we might try out like whatever works and whatever not. So as already mentioned, that Truffalog has the capability to validate these credentials, these leaked tokens or these keys as well. So we will not be covering here, but this provides this particular functionality to move forward and then scan the things. So here you can see that there are multiple things like detector type GCP, decoder plane. Then we have this particular user, which is the email is present here. Project ID is mentioned here, and then this particular key is present here as well. So this can be of very interesting use if we are performing some OSINT on the target organization, right? So this is a very quick demo on how Trufflehawk can provide us with such kind of information which is leaked in the in the environment. So moving forward, you will find these kind of keys present here in the output, which already was previously, right? So these are the things. Now there are other ways or other locations where you can find credentials, and it can be searched in the search engines like searchcode.com and cs.android.com, let's say, or github.com search. So these kind of places or these resources that we can use to actually extract the credentials or some sort of interesting files in there, which might be mistakenly leaked in the environment. So pen tester often use these platform to look for sensitive information which is unintentionally posted during the build process, right? So these are the things. Now, so we understood about the token, right? Like what are the tokens? Are not like the actual username and password, but these are more fine-grained level of access, right? They provide fine-grained level of access. Tokens can be short-lived, tokens can be long-lived. So it depends like who is creating it and what is the scope of that token. Now, in this particular slide, we will be understanding about the token types. What are the token types? And since this webinar is focused on the GitLab, so we will be talking about the token types in the GitLab. So talking about the PAT or the personal access token. So this is used for fine-grained access to the GitLab platform. So this, think of this as some sort of username and password, right? So we don't need to provide these username and password or the MFA. So these personal access tokens are created on some sort of scope, let it be on the repository level, or and it is associated with the user. So it can be any user, let's say the admin user or the root user of the GitLab can also create this personal access token. And this particular token expiry date is as of now limited to 8 months only. So in case if even if some sort of restrictions like MFA or any other things are present in here, because if we see in the current scenario, attackers are leveraging phishing for the initial access, right? And employees as well as the security team have already implemented MFA in the whole environment or in the whole organization. Then what are the ways left? So the first interesting thing that if we have some sort of access to the personal access token of any user, so this provides us with the unrestricted access to the environment. So even if MFA or any other multi-factor authentication is enabled, we can directly get initial access there, right? So that is the way. It doesn't ask for any codes or authenticator, like login or let's say some sort of thing. So this is the best thing, right? So this is used for fine-grained access to the GitLab platform. It is created. It can be created by a user. The user can have whatever privileges there are. It can be admin level user or it can be a normal user. So it depends. Now, second is the project access token. So there can be multiple projects inside an organization, right? So let's say in an organization there are five multiple projects. By project I mean the repository. So this is also used for fine-grained access to a specific project. So let's say if the developer team A is working on, let's say, project A, and the manager want to provide team A access to only the repository A or the project A. So they can create a project access token, and that will be validated only for that particular project. So it is only valid, or the scope is only valid to a specific project. So even if we have access to this project access token, we can't have the access of some other repositories. It is only restricted to a specific project or a specific repository, right? Same goes with the group access token. So these are created by groups for member. It's similar to the personal access token, but works in sort of a group. So let's say there can be multiple groups, and group contains member. So the members have some sort of access token which they can leverage, and it is only visible to them, whoever the managers are, and they can members are, sorry, and they can leverage these tokens for the same stuff. Then this is the interesting one, that is runner authentication tokens, which we will understand in the next slides. It is used for authenticating runners in CI/CD pipelines, etc. Then CI/CD job tokens. It is used for authentication in CI/CD job environments, right? So out of all of them, the one that we will be concentrating is the personal access token, or the PAT. So let's see how this can be useful during our operations in the GitLab kind of environment. Now, pets have an access level, as already mentioned, that these access token or these keys have some sort of privileges, right? And that depends on the permissions granted to the user who created the token. So the pets have some sort of privileges like access number and the access level. So access number is, if it is 10, then the access level is guessed. That means they can't enumerate, they can't see anything, but they can only see some organization related information, the private repository. They can't browse the private repository. They have very limited access or restrictive access in the GitLab environment. Now there is some higher sort of access number, that is 40. So this is the maintainer. So the maintainer is can be attached to a specific project or a specific repository, right? And the one that we look for is number 50. So the access number 50 belongs to the owner. So owner means root level privileges on the whole organization. So if we got access, or a specific repository, so let's say if we got access to the personal access token, and it's just a simple string. It looks like a simple random string, which is only visible for a short time, but can be long lived or short lived, whatever the things are. But in GitLab they have set the maximum time to around 8 months only, right? So that is the case. Access number is 50, and the owner is the access level that is attached to this access number. So we will assume in our demonstration that we have got access to this particular PAT number, or the personal access token number, and we will see what level of privileges this particular number have. Now, talking about the interesting case study that we were trying to discuss previously, like first we understand about the tokens, then about the access level, then the type of tokens, and now we will be understanding about this particular very interesting scenario, that is abusing GitLab self-hosted runners. So this is a very interesting scenario that you can see. It simulates an organization CI/CD pipeline. So here we have an attacker. We will assume that attacker has already got the access of the PAT, or the personal access token, right? And there is a GitLab SaaS platform which is present here. So the organization is using GitLab SaaS platform for maintaining and managing their code repositories. So that is what the organization do. So here we have this SaaS platform, and we have the malicious workflow. So using the PAT, the attackers can push some backdoor code into this particular repository. That code will create a malicious workflow in the, and this particular repository will then move forward organization network, right? So this is how the things look like we have network which basically contains is there any issues? Just a second. Is there any sound issues as of now? Yeah, we will be sharing this particular stuff. uh, Nandini, can you please confirm if all looks good?
From my end, it's all good, but in the chat box, I can see there are people who can't hear the webinar.
Can anyone please confirm if all looks good here, or are there any issues?
Okay. Okay, so some people are confirming via reaction.
Okay, I think it's active. If all looks good, I think I can move forward.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So I was talking about this whole case study. So here we have the organization network, which has some sort of self-hosted runner. So what happens during a CI/CD pipeline is that if anything or any of the staging code is posted to the GitLab or the SaaS platform, it will automatically build and then deploy it in a specific location. So the location can be in the on-premise, or the server can be on-premise server, or it can also be present in the cloud environment like in the GCP, Azure, AWS, etc. Right? So these can be the things. Now, the attacker having possession of the personal access token can push the malicious code in the code repository right here. Right after pushing it, the pipeline will automatically be triggered because it was already created. Now, if it is triggered, it will be executed on the self-hosted runner. Now the self-hosted runner will do whatever is present in the YML file. So what is this YML file? YML file is a configuration file. So the execution of attacker workflow, this is what the attacker will be controlling. So they will be creating, let's say, a backdoored YML file which contains malicious code which provides a kind of a shellback, or let's say execute something malicious on the self-hosted runner. So these self-hosted runner are the places or the server where these codes are compiled or executed. So whatever push is done on this, or addition is done on this repository, it is forwarded to the self-hosted runner, and or these runners that are present in the other cloud vendors, and then it is now executed, right? Now once the callback has happened, it will connect back to the command and control server. So this is the actual workflow which we will be demoing in the GitLab or in our own scenario in the next slides. So same stuff. We have the pet. We download the repository. We see what level of access we have using this personal access token, and then we move forward to this self-hosted runner and have a shellback. So this is what we will be demonstrating in the next slide. So the scenario is that we have access to owner level GitLab personal access token, the organization running self-hosted GitLab Runner. Okay, so the organization that we are trying to compromise is a dummy organization which is running a self-hosted GitLab Runner. So the attack flow would be that we have the leaked pet, we will be cloning the repository, we will backdoor this .gitlab-ci.yml, which as already mentioned is the configuration file. This YML file will be pushed to the repository, and we will have the profit by the self-hosted runner, because this malicious YML file Is that Nandini? Can you please confirm? I think there are some issues here.
Uh, yeah. So I guess the broadcast is now started. So the people can hear now.
Okay, so previously there are any issues.
We are in pre-broadcast. I don't know, but there's a pre-broadcast option there. So now it's audible
Okay,
to all, I guess. Yeah.
okay.
So everyone who's ever didn't got the sound, so we will share in the recording after the follow-up mail.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Okay, so we can see that this is a backdoored YML file. Okay, so as previously mentioned, that this is a YML file which contains the malicious code or the reverse shell. So here you can see that we have defined some of the variables like reverse shell host, like where we will be connecting back the reverse shell port, whatever the port number is, and some of the stages through which this particular code will go through. So the reverse shell is one of the stage, and here we will be having a simple SOCAD reverse shell present in here. So this particular reverse shell will provide a shell back to our command and control server, and this is what we will be pushing into our code. So let's quickly jump on to the demonstration scenario where I will be demoing the exact flow which we have seen here. So first of all, I will go to this my Kali environment. Okay, so first of all, let's check, like, let's say via enumeration or during OSINT, I have found some of the PAT located here. So this is how the personal access token looks like. You can see the highlighted one is a personal access token which has a limited span. So I will run this command. This command will provide me with the information like what access this particular token have, right? So I will just run this, and based on the output I can see that I have one repository called grid simulation research. The visibility is private, and through this private token I can access this particular repository, that is grid simulation research, which is not available publicly. So this is the power of this particular privilege access token, oh sorry, the personal access token. So here you can see that we have found out in the GitLab server. This is the URL of the GitLab server. Here we are sending a request using this particular token to provide us like what is the visibility or what is the privileges of this PAT. So here we can see that we have got this information that there is a repository called Grid Simulation Research, and we have the visibility as private. Please note that we don't require any username and password for the same. That is, we don't need to go here and log in to identify whatever things are going on. Instead, if we have this pet, we can do the things directly from the CLI. So here we have seen that we have access to this particular repository. Now, moving forward, we can see the project ID as well. What is the project ID here? So here it shows one, so the output is one, that is the project ID of this particular repository is one. So this will be very helpful. This information is very helpful in the next stage. Now we check the permission as well, whatever permission I have. So as mentioned, 10 is for guest, 20 reporter, 30 developer, 40 maintainer, and 50 owner. So I will run this command here, and here you can see based on this project ID I have added one in the backend here. So this means that we will be sending a request to this particular location to check what is the permission I have here. So I will execute this, and here you can see that the access level is 50. That means I have the owner level privileges or root level privileges for this repository. So here I can either delete this repository, I can clone the repository, I can modify the repository, right? So I can do whatever I want. So this is what we will be leveraging here is we will be downloading or first cloning this repository and then modifying the backdoor, sorry, adding the backdoor. So this is the command that we will use for the clone. So here you can see that this is the username root. This is the privilege access token. We have not specified any username and password. This is the pat, and this is the GitLab IP address, and this is the project that we have got previously, project name, right? So I will just execute this, and here you can see cloning into grid simulation research, and here we can see that this particular project is already cloned. So I will go to this grid simulation research, and here I can see that there are few of whatever things are added in the repository, or whatever the current branch is, it is already visible here. Now if you look carefully via ls.-la, you can find that there is a .gitlab-ci.yml present here. This confirms that there is a CI/CD pipeline attached to this particular repository. That means whatever code is pushed to this repository, that is great simulation research, the things that are written inside the YML will be executed in the self-hosted runner, right? So let's check whatever is present in this gitlab-ci.yml file, which is also a configuration file. So here you can see that there are some random stuff present here, like image before script, after script, some of the things are present here. So we don't want these stuff, so I will be removing these things directly from here, and I will be mentioning this particular malicious YML code, right? So what this particular YML code will do, as you can see that some of the variables are defined, it will provide a reverse shell back to my command and control server or to my location. So this is the IP address or the attacker IP. This is my port, the attacker port. This is what we will be executing is a simple SOCAT reverse shell on this specific parameters, right? So this is what we will be doing. So I will be saving this, right? So you can now see the GitLab-YCML shows whatever I have just added into this stuff. So as you can see that there is a difference in what I have downloaded locally. Since I have modified something, I need, when I will be pushing, I have to first add this particular change in the current repository. So how I will be doing this is I will state the change using this particular command, that is git add dot, right? So that means that there are some changes that is done in the current repository, and since I have the owner level privileges here, I will be leveraging that. I will commit it. So you can provide any message like 1.1 or something, or let's say next release, next update, or let's say any update in here. So here you can see that it automatically detects that check the difference, and it saw that there is a rewrite of this particular YML file. That means this is what we have currently added or modified. So this is what is present here, and in the end we will start our listener first using this RL lab. I will first confirm my IP address as well. So my IP address is 100.2. Yes, fine. Okay. Now the last and final step, that is get push. So as soon as I do this, that is this command get push, this YML code will be pushed to the repository, right? In that particular GitLab server, and whatever is present inside this YML will be executed by the self-hosted runner present here, right? This particular self-hosted runner. So if this is the self-hosted runner, let's say if it is present in the on-premise, we will have the access of on-premise server, or let's say if it is present on these cloud providers, so we will have access to these cloud providers as well, right? So let me run this quickly, that is git push. Now, as soon as we run this, you can see that there will be a shell back here once everything is post successfully. And here you can see that we have a shell back as root on this particular server, that is get SRV, right? So here you can see whatever you want. You can see the shadow file or whatever things are present here, because we have as of now the root level access, right? So this is the beauty of this pet, that is if we have compromised the personal access token, we can leverage it to see what sort of privileges we have in the repository. Based on that, the CI/CD, if configured, we can backdoor the YML file, we can make the updates, and then push that YML file in the repository. As soon as the repository gets whatever updates are pushed, it will trigger the pipeline, and in that particular pipeline, since we have added the malicious code, it will be executed by these self-hosted GitLab runners. So we have seen that organization generally add these kind of things in the they have the self-hosted runner running on premise as well as in other locations as well. So depending on which runner picks up our job, so basically we are sending a job, right? Like you need to execute this YML file. So based on the runner which is picking up our job, we will be having a shell of these particular these things. So it can be on the on-premise, or it can be on the GCP, Azure VM, or the AWS EC2 instances, right? So these are the very interesting things that people may find. Now, coming back to the current scenario, as already discussed, that attackers or red team focusing on the phishing part, because if you see that phishing attacks have been grown a lot in the last quarters as well as in the last year as well, that there are a lot of attacks and major companies getting hacked because of this phishing. Now, because organization implementing these MFA solutions, or moving towards zero trust, it's really difficult to get the hands on these things. Even if we get the credentials, we might be blocked in the MFA part, right? Like you can't have multiple, you can send multiple notifications to the employee, and then they will like accept it. We can rely on the that strategy, right? It is very dynamic, it can be changing, or the people who has access to that mobile or that particular trusted identity, we can't rely on that, right? Like there can be multiple things. So in case um, if we find that the developers not maintaining these kind of hygiene, the cyber hygiene, like clearing up the tokens, have a very limited expiry, or very specific fine grained token, not creating a token which has a very high sort of privileges, is very interesting stuff. So we need to understand, if we find these kind of personal access token, what sort of privileges we hold in the repository or in the organization, and based on that, as a red team or as pen tester, we decide our strategy. So that is the flow. Now, what are the impacts, or we can say how we can defend this? So the regularly rotating secrets and tokens. So I think in the GitLab they have done the restrictive set of the token expiry to be, I think, in 8 months or around 9 months. So in this duration, if it is compromised, or some people might see it, so they can leverage it to access the detail, to access the infra. But they have a kind of time limit that it is only valid for, let's say, 8 months, and after that the token will be invalid. So even if the attacker have access to these tokens, they will not be able to get it. So that is the thing. Implementing strong access control and role based authorization. Obviously, developers or teams, automation teams working on these kind of strategies, or on these projects, should be very well aware of the access controls as well as the authorization roles, right? What particular user has what role and what level of access, etc., in the organization. Using secure storage solutions for sensitive data and credentials. We can't have an open bucket in, let's say, S3 or Azure Blob, and we say that everything is secure, right? So even if you store these credentials, or not the credentials but these token access tokens in these open repository, high chances people will be enumerating the organization, GitHub profiles, blobs, or S3 buckets, and if they find these secrets or these personal access token, they can leverage it to get further information and then move forward. So that is also possible. Now, keeping the GitLab and relative software up to date with the latest security patches is also one important thing. There are multiple vulnerabilities coming, because this is a very huge software, that is GitLab, and deploying internally on a kind of self-hosted setup where organization will be maintaining and have the headache of organizing everything. So it's really really difficult to update, see, and then patch the software, right? So these are the some of the important things that are present here, right? So here we understood about the case study, the details of the case study. We have understood the demonstration of that. We have seen that. Then these are some of the defenses. Now at the end, I would like to talk about our latest course, that is the Certified Red Team Specialist, or the CRTSV2. So if you guys are interested in practical red team case studies like what you have set up, what you have seen, like right away, if you would like to have more kind of practical environment where you can practice this kind of stuff, feel free to have a look at the syllabus of the CRTS V2. We provide premium study materials, that is PDF plus videos with lifetime access, right? So there is no restriction on you have if you have enrolled, let's say today, if you want to shift the lab access for, let's say, after 6 months, after 1 year, it's possible. The lab doesn't starts right away. It doesn't start like, let's say, if you purchase today, you have to enroll or start the lab tomorrow. No, that is not the case here. You are free to choose your own time for the lab setup, for the lab, as well as for the examination. Now you will get 30 days premium power grid theme lab access. So our CRTS V1 or Red Team Specialist version 1 was in very huge demand. We got lot of requests, more than 2000 plus candidates were certified, and way more than that enrolled in that particular course. So this particular CRTS V2 lab is focused on the power grid. Like there is a electric power grid functionality, or a kind of an organization where you have to hack and understand how the internals look like. And this lab comprises of a lot of different tech stack, including CI/CD, MFA bypass, Active Directory certificate services, then initial access, multiple ways, right? So a lot of things are there. So our slogan is that don't just read, practically learn and earn your CWL certifications proudly on Accreditable, right? So we provide an Accreditable badge as well. So that is the additional benefit on that. Like we would like you to show off your credentials and practically learn in the environment, not just read through the contents or the documentation. You have to be practically well versed with whatever current attacks that are happening. So that's what we are trying to simulate in our lab environment in the CyberWarfare Labs, multiple series of labs, cyber range labs that we have, right? So these are the things. Now talking about the CWL discount offer and giveaway. So we will have a giveaway of desired red team course to lucky 5 winners. We have already ran one kind of a series or a plan in LinkedIn, where we are providing like these random people access to their course of their choice in the red team site. So we are doing that. So if you have already done that, so our team has created the flow, and then we will be releasing these giveaway within 2 to 3 working days, right? So that is the case. Also, if you guys are interested in getting the CRTS V2, which is a full practical stuff, you will be getting recording materials, including practical lab, where you will be testing such kind of scenarios where um, like whatever we have saw recently. So you can use this particular coupon code, that is 10 CRTS V2, to get 10% off on Red Team Specialist V2 course, and this is applicable for 7 days only. And since this is the webinar, you guys have spent some time, you guys have took some time out of your busy schedule, and you are present here in the holiday, learning all these stuff. So we have made the things easy for you. You will be getting 10% off directly if you use this code on our website, that is cyberwarfare.live, starting from today onwards. So don't miss the opportunity. Enroll now and become certified red teamer. Right. So this is all for this webinar. Thank you. So if you like the webinar, like just please feel free to shout out and tag us at social media platform. You will be getting the attendance certificate. Like all of you will be getting the attendance certificate within couple of days. So our team will be sharing that, And if you guys are interested in any of this content or anything, so feel free to have a look at our website. So this video, the webinar video, as well as the PDFs etc., will be present in our website, right? So you just have to go to the event section in our website, and then you will find all the details there. So it will not be uploaded right away, but after that, after a couple of days, we will be uploading all the things. You will be having the certificate. You can, like, tag us, and then in social media just promote that, whatever things you like. And if you would like to explore or keep us running with such kind of content for free to all the customers, so please love us as well, and love us by providing your providing us visibility in the market, like in the LinkedIn or in the Twitter, right? So these are the cases. So I will be providing this link to all of you. In the meantime, if you guys have, I will provide this, the slide link. I've sent the slide link to everyone. You can use this for reference, as well as you can use this CRTS V2 promo code, CRTS V2 promo code, which is available for 7 days only at this particular site. So you just need to go to our website, that is cyberwarfare.live, where you will find these things present here. This is the URL. So just apply this promo code here, and you guys will have 10% discount ASAP. So yeah, that is the case. Now coming back to the queries, there was so many queries, I think. Yeah, so I've already shared the reference links and this particular slide. So if you guys would like to go through this, feel free to have a look into that. And all the things like the videos as well as the PDF, etc., for this webinar will be present in our website. So if you guys are confused, I will make it easy for you. You will find the things in the webinar series here. CWL Resources webinar series. So here you will find the material as well as this particular video link here. So you can find both the things present in here. And yeah, I think that is what you guys are looking forward to, I think, to go through this very engaging and practical webinar again and again. So yeah, I think that's the stuff. And yeah, I think there are any other things. So yeah, we try to promote these kind of stuff, like the course content and the, like, the labs that we have developed, the scenarios that we have developed, every time. So it's like the frequency is low as of now. Like, we are trying to add more of the webinars, free webinars, in our platform. We would like you to go through the contents, go through the material, and actually see what we are adding in your life, in your actual career, right? Whatever you are pursuing as a pen tester, as a red teamer, as a blue team member in the defense, or as a purple team as well. So people are asking how long hours this course at. So you can find all the details in our website, right? So you just need to go to the website. You will find all the things present in here related to the information, that is the download syllabus. You will find the syllabus there. You can find the lab highlights here, like how the lab looks like so far here. Then prerequisites, certification procedure, right? So we have an examination as well. So you, all of the things you will get only at $199, right? So it's kind of one time fee for lifetime access. You will have access to all the things whatever I have talked about. So first of all, I would suggest that you guys go through these things first, and then only after that, proceed with the enrollment. Yeah. Yeah, so Michael is asking, are you sharing a certificate? So yeah, Michael, our team will be sharing the certificate within couple of working days, and it will be arrived directly in your mailbox. If there is anything, feel free to contact the support team at support@cyberwarfare.live. Yeah, so that is the thing. So yeah, that is the case, and I think some of the technical queries are there as well. So regarding the PAT, what is the access level we had in this particular webinar? So the PAT access level was 50, as you have seen previously. I think you might have joined late, but it is 50, the owner level permission, right? So that means I had full access to the repository. So that is what the things are here. And yeah, what are the things? Yeah, so if you would like to go through the things again, so feel free to have a look into the webinar one more time. We will be uploading it, very soon. All these stuff. So yeah, feel free to have a look into this. So whatever the things are, feel free to email the support team, right? So they will be there to answer all your queries and all the things. So yeah, I think some of the questions are repeating. So you might find you might need to watch this webinar again to identify like the things what that we have done so far previously. So yeah, I think that's all for this webinar. And yeah, I would like to thank you all for providing your valuable time during this weekend to learn about these topics and this stuff. So I think it's really helpful, and it boosts our research as well, because we are trying to add a lot of things in here. Thanks a lot for so much of your love and so much of your support to us. So it really means a lot, right? Just going through all the things and providing these stuff. So we will definitely be organizing such kind of webinar for free to all of you, and you will find all these things present in our website. Feel free to take a look at it. Our main emphasis is on the practicality of the content, where you will actually practice this thing in the live environment, and that will make the things easy for you. So thanks a lot, guys, for coming here, for joining us, and yeah, all the best, all of you. Thanks a lot for all the wishes and all the love. So hope you guys stay safe and learn a lot this year. So this is our new like the first webinar. I think this first or second. I think first webinar this year. So we will be organizing soon and giving you with a lot of things this year. So thanks a lot, guys, and yeah, thank you. I will be ending this webinar. Enjoy. Yeah, thank you all. Thanks.